Hey there, I'm Joe Carter. If you've ever popped the hood and thought, where do I even start? You're in good company. Around here, we take the mystery out of car repair, one fix at a time. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to sharpen your skills, there's something here for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're into learning without the headaches. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get into it.
It can be done through the Federal Bailiff Service and the Traffic Police. They have special databases that contain full information on pledged cars, the amount and place of pledge. With their help, a person can find out whether the vehicle is not pledged to the bank, even if the point is in the hands of the owner. Secondly, if you buy a car in a used car dealership, the employees of this organization can check whether the Iron Horse is not in pledge, according to their databases. But here it is necessary to follow the procedure, as fraudsters can get caught. A fraudster, buying a car, draws up a car loan in his own name, and then writes out a general power of attorney for another person, who has the right to sell the car, and the new inattentive owner will be waiting with it and the debt in the bank. Each of these ways takes place in every city and can apply to any car. How to avoid this and find out if the car is pledged on the spot, we will tell you further. What to do to check on the spot. If a person buys a car from hand, he should know several ways that will help on the spot to check the truthfulness of the words of the owner, the originality of the points and other documents. It is necessary to carefully check the points for replacement. Special attention should be paid to the inscription stating about replacement. If it says, on loss of points, you should be wary. It is better to immediately make a request to the traffic police. It is also necessary to take into account the number of past owners of the car, specified in the points, because if there were many owners, and the age of the vehicle is small, there is a probability of attempted deliberate difficulty in punching the car on credit when selling it. The general power of attorney, by which the owner wants to sell the car, does not give 100% confidence in the honesty of the seller, because it can be a scheme described above. What can tell the behavior to answer the question of how not to buy a credit car? A person who wants to buy a car from hand should carefully study this article, as well as closely monitor the behavior of the owner. If he cannot clearly answer simple questions about the repair, replacement of consumables, or even cannot name the exact volume of the engine or the year of manufacture of the vehicle, despite the presence of the points, it is better not to get in touch with such a person. Most likely, he will turn out to be a fraudster. A similar conclusion should be made if the question about checking the authenticity of the points, the potential buyer responds with a refusal or stop contacting at all. When viewing the car, it is important to pay attention to the driver's documents, whether he is the owner. And also through the website of the Central Bank of Russia you can check whether he took a loan, when and in what amount. If a person is offered to sell a car under a general power of attorney, and the real owner refuses to meet and give contact information, it is also necessary to refuse the transaction, so as not to become a victim of fraudsters. Fraudsters more often show the car away from residential houses, in the parking lots of shopping centers, cinemas, etc., under the pretext of remoteness of the place of residence. And they set the price lower than it can be offered for the car, referring to the urgent need for money, family circumstances, illness, etc. Why it still happens, who will answer? Unfortunately, in modern legislation in such situations, the truth remains on the side of the bank, which has the right to seize the car from its new owner to repay the debt. And here rarely help even qualified lawyers. At the same time, the former owner of the car will remain out of business, because it will now be owed not him, but the new owner of the vehicle. The only thing that the new owner can do, file a lawsuit, consulting with an experienced lawyer and finding an article on which the fraudster can be brought to justice. About it, below. What can be checked? In addition to the points, the owner of the vehicle should be ready for certain actions and provide a number of documents. A document certifying the identity of the owner of the vehicle, the owner's consent to the indication of the present selling price of the car in the contract, the owner's willingness to deregister the vehicle in the MIO GID in the presence of the potential buyer, checking the car for certain registration restrictions and theft. For this purpose there is a simple and free service. By entering the VIN or body number of the car, you can find out whether the car is not stolen, whether it is not arrested or other restrictions. If he refuses to show the documents, you should say goodbye to such a seller, look for another option for purchase and a more responsible owner. What to do if the car you bought turns out to be mortgaged? If the car did turn out to be a loan, for those people who do not want to get in touch with the courts and the police, you can give advice, try to solve the issue peacefully. But often, if a person sold the car without mentioning the state of her under collateral in the bank, it is unlikely that he will talk to the new owner of the vehicle. It is also possible to write a statement to the police about fraud. But this will only help if the seller has repeatedly committed similar transactions or fraud against the bank. The most realistic way to save money, and sometimes transportation, is to file a lawsuit in court. This should be done with the help of an experienced lawyer, as he knows better how such cases are conducted in the region of residence of the person who suffered from the fraudster, and how to act. Usually the lawyer recommends to try to recognize the contract of sale invalid, on the grounds that this transaction was made under the influence of a misconception about the qualities of its subject. Refer to Articles 456, 460, 178 of the Civil Code of the Russian Federation. Moreover, it is necessary to ask for the return of the parties to the transaction in the original position. That is, to oblige the plaintiff to return the car to the previous owner, and the defendant must return the money. Article 167 of the Civil Code of the Russian Federation. The biggest problem in this situation is that the seller may simply not show up in court, or abscond altogether. Then the court will be forced to make a decision in absentia. The victim will never receive the money, but will be left without a car. FSP license plate: how not to buy a credit car. In conclusion, navigating the complexities of purchasing a pledged car requires vigilance and informed decision-making. Always conduct thorough research, verify the vehicle's history, and ensure that all financial obligations are settled before finalizing your purchase. If you find yourself in a situation where the car turns out to be under credit, promptly contact the lender to understand your options and protect your investment. By being proactive and informed, you can avoid potential pitfalls and make a sound decision when buying a vehicle. Thank you for watching, and stay smart on your car buying journey.